All right, here we are, week 4, the COVID week, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully not. The injury bug will certainly continue, that we know. But we are in week 4 of the Fantasy Fling podcast, Fantasy Fling, fantasy football without the commitment. We are here for the hot DFS deals and strategy. You can find those at fantasyfootballfling.com. Check out our deals. You can also find us on Twitter at fantasyfling. We've got a new deal for you this week with Monkey Knife Fight. They will instantly deposit match up to $50 for those player props. Just use code FLING. Of course, we're back, and we have myself and my Eric, my other co-host, back. No Joey this week. He's nursing a bum ankle, considered out for the show. He was doubtful all week, but he's definitely out, not playing. But this week, we have one of the tacos of our league, Polish Pawel, here to break down the original taco. So you're going to break down your improbable 3-0 run, never before, for sure. But why don't you explain to me who gave you the draft advice for you to start out 3-0? Maybe we should start
I believe the person who gave me the draft advice is running his mouth right now. You should have followed, I guess, his own advice. But, every once in a while I log on Twitter, and this was the advice that I was given. Let me look it up. Let me pull up our own host tweet. I'll say this. You've got to be flexible to your league, but based on what I've seen in mocks, my first 5 rounds would be running back, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. There are plenty of wideouts I'm targeting rounds 3 through 7 that make me feel good about drafting one in the first 2 rounds. Fantasy football. So usually how I go into these drafts is 100% unprepared. I guess that's how I got this nickname, huh? I guess it kind of was the first thing the first night after my birthday when I showed up. Intoxicated would be a nice way of putting it.
Definitely a nice way to put it. Yeah. You were more than intoxicated, but I mean, we're not trying to get kicked off YouTube. So
of my birthday.
Yeah. We won't get into all the details because we're not trying to get blacklisted on all platforms.
Nobody doesn't like you.
Yeah.
But, so anyways, draft, Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, Mike Evans, Juju Smith-Schuster, Keenan Allen, running back, wide receiver. Go from there, and it's so far a 3-0. And I'll be playing the co-host, Eric, this week.
Speaking of Eric, and by the way, that's great advice. Yeah. By the way, whoever gave you that advice, that's just sound, and obviously you're 3-0, so it's great advice. But speaking of Eric, former reigning champ, has won a couple titles in this league, won one last year, definitely did not start 3-0. Eric, why don't you tell us about your start?
I may have started the opposite of 3-0, 0-3. I am playing Paul this week, as you mentioned. God, man, it being the champ and then going 0-3, because I was talking so much crap leading up to the draft. It's kind of eating my words a little bit. However, if you look at – there's some stats to look at. If you're 0-3 and you're last in points scored, you're in a bad spot. I'm 0-3, Paul's 3-0. We have about the same amounts of points for. The only difference is points against. I'm second highest in points against. That says a lot. So I feel like I have a good team. And to talk about the strategy, RB, followed by 3 receivers, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. That's what makes fantasy football fun, is you can do all kinds of strats. However, the best strategy is just to be open and fluid, not to be stuck with a certain strategy. If players fall to you, they do. Yeah. But not to say, hey, I am for sure going RB, followed by 3 receivers. Yeah. Because then you miss out on players. But anyway, I'm 0-3. Yeah. Paul's 3-0. We're playing this week. Tables are going to turn. Your luck's going to run out, Paul. Hate to tell you, man.
I heard it before. That's all right. Our matchup is 50-50 right now, projected.
Projections really don't mean a lot. Like they
I
change
know,
so
they
much.
don't mean goddamn shit. They don't mean a goddamn thing. But that's what we're sitting at.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's move over to the top plays of week 3. Starting with quarterbacks. Brando, you want to start that out?
Absolutely. Well, let Russell cook. It was more of the same. I mean, this dude's the MVP for sure this year. There's just no question about it. And honestly, had DK Metcalf not like showboated and, screwed over my DFS lineups, that's another story. He would have more points. So Russell Wilson's number 1 at 36 points. Josh Allen, backstory, I went to Sportsbook up in Blackhawk this week. I bet actually on the Rams because I was like, you know what? The Bills hadn't played anyone. So by halftime, I look like an idiot. And then the Rams come all the way back, and they're in line to win the game. And, of course, they blow it. So the Bills, Josh Allen, he's definitely runner-up for MVP candidate. He's one of the top 3. He scored 32 points. Dak Prescott, same thing with the Cowboys, man. I said it week 1, and they're continuing to score points. The record doesn't reflect it, but this is a fantasy football show, and as far as fantasy football goes, Dak Prescott has been great, 29 points. Goff came in at 28, and then Kyler Murray. I mean, this is another guy who has been in the top 5 every week. Yeah, him and DeAndre have got really good chemistry going, so he rounds out the top 5 at 24 points.
I mean, DeAndre is a machine every week. He was a machine with the Titans every single season. That dude doesn't drop a thing. Hair looks great. His mom's happy. Let's make mom happy again. Let's put some points on the board, right? D-Hop.
Yeah, buddy. Eric, running backs.
Yeah, man, let's go. This year you would usually see Christian McCaffrey at the top of the list almost all the time, and people forgot about Kamara though. Right now, I think he's only trailing Russell Wilson in points, overall points, not just running back points, but overall. I saw an awesome stat that said if Alvin Kamara had 0 rushing yards and only counted receiving yards, he'd be wide receiver 4 right now. Pretty cool stat. I can't remember where it came from, but he'd be wide receiver 4 just based on his receiving yards. Anyway,
I mean, I'm enjoying Mike Davis right now with CMC gone. They projected him super low last week, which was super stupid, and I believe he finished with like 16-something. So Mike Davis is stepping up into his role. I'm gonna be sad to see him go. Once CMC is back.
We spent a lot of fab on him.
I did.
Probably the biggest surprise in this whole entire points scored was Rex Burkhead. I mean, he didn't even get that many touches, but the guy scored 34 and a half points. That, I think, was an anomaly and won't happen again. Right. I mean, especially when James White comes back, you spend your fab on him, but, he's not – when James White comes back, it's not going to happen again. I don't see that ever happening again. Austin Eckler, 31 points, not surprised.
Yeah.
And then people look at the name, like if you started this year like James Robinson, undrafted, who the hell's James Robinson? The guy scores almost 31 points, stud. Derrick Henry, 27. Paul, I know he's on your team.
King Henry, love him.
And then we'll move on to receivers.
Like 2 touchdowns last week. I wasn't even paying attention. I walked out, phone's going off, touchdown, phone went off again, touchdown. I was like, man, that can't be right. My phone must be bugging out. There's no way a guy had 2 touchdowns in like 2 minutes. Nope. Just running up the score last week.
It seemed like it was even faster than that. I was watching Red Zone. It seemed like it was almost back-to-back, but
it was quick, man.
Quick.
It literally, I honestly thought my phone was glitching out, sending me the same exact notification. Nope. King Henry just counting it in.
Yeah, man. We'll see what happens. He's usually better the second half of the season, but we'll see how it goes. He plays a tough defense on the Steelers this week, so if the game even happens. Moving on to receivers, though. Tyler Lockett, the guy's a stud. He was a stud last year before he got hurt. He was top 5 guy before he got hurt. Top 5 again. I think he might be number 1. Not even sure. He's right around there. Justin Jefferson was a big surprise. Adam Thielen needed someone else to like take the pressure away. Same with Kirk Cousins needed someone to throw the ball to.
He needed a Stephon Diggs on the other side, and that's where he stepped up.
Yeah, well, now there's Justin Jefferson, who looked like a stud.
Yep.
Keenan Allen scored 30 points. As long as Justin Herbert's playing, Keenan Allen, you want to start. If somehow Tyrod comes back, I pull him away. Allen Robinson was kind of a surprise. That was a big kind of a comeback thing. He's had the targets. He's had the everything is towards him, but it didn't happen until recently because of the quarterback switch, which may be a good thing. But the numbers have been there, but he finally got the actual stats. And then the last one was Cedric Wilson. Who the hell is Cedric Wilson? The guy scored damn near 28 points. He's a receiver for the Cowboys. I wouldn't buy into it, but, might have been a one-off thing. But tight ends, Jimmy Graham was kind of a surprise. He scored 24 points. That was
Jimmy
part
Graham's
of the same
getting
thing.
a lot of volume, though, and with Nick Foles coming in, a guy who's coming in out of Philly who's been regular throwing into Ertz. I mean, a guy who's been throwing into tight ends, now coming into Chicago. I could see, he's gotten a lot of volume, so I could see him producing.
Yeah,
where did you learn all this? Did you like cram
Hey, man.
podcasts today?
Hey, man. This is like an encyclopedia. Every once in a while, the taco knowledge comes in. We do big things here. You surprised, man? You surprised? How do you think I'm going 3-0, baby? About to go 4-0.
Let me just say, what a wasteland tight end is. I mean, the only of the people who were drafted, right, in the top 4 or 5 tight ends would be Zach Ertz. He's finished with 14. You got Jimmy Graham, Tyler Kroft, Eric Ebron, Robert Tonyan. It was just a wasteland in tight end. I mean, it's hard for
this isn't 5 years ago.
Who's the guy for
with Jimmy and then Tyler Kroft and Robert Tonyan. Who?
Yeah, right. It's like what the what happened to Drew Sample?
Yeah.
Anyway, move on to defense. Let's round this bad boy out and move on.
Got the Colts #1 spot at 26 points.
Play
Tampa
anyone
Bay
who plays the Jets. Just play anyone who plays the Jets.
Right. Yeah, unless
this is the Broncos on
the Broncos, then you should probably not play that defense.
I don't know if you've seen
every
the
week
debates.
after that, play the Jets.
I don't know if you've seen the debates last night. I thought that was going to be the biggest shit show we're going to see this week. Tomorrow night's going to be the biggest shit show we're going to see this week.
No. Yeah. No. We got the Broncos tomorrow night.
I know.
And the
That's
Jets.
the biggest shit show of the week.
Speaking of the Broncos, I have Tampa Bay as defense. I played them because, I'm like, well, the Broncos, Jeff Driscoll, more injuries, more IR payroll than any other team in the NFL. I knew how that was going to be.
What are we at, like 31 million in IR or something like that?
It's #1. It's like ridiculously
high. I would love to
high.
get paid that much money to not do any work.
Yeah. New England, #3, 15. The Cleveland Browns. Well, they were at #4. They weren't on the mixed list. I'm not sure how they made this list. But maybe they were on the mixed list. I'm thinking of the other game. Was it Jacksonville and Miami? Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, the Browns #4. And no, there we go. Miami. They should have made this list. They were #5. But that's the end of that. Nobody really gives a shit about defense.
Yeah, no one cares.
Let's be real.
Care less about kickers or defense.
Let's be real. Yeah.
Whoa,
yeah.
What are you guys talking about? Kickers don't matter? We're not handcuffing kickers?
No, they don't matter. In fact, this is the last year we're doing kickers in our league. Just so I know.
Come on. Kickers are real. Pat McAfee. Is Pat McAfee watching this?
Probably.
Are we going for the brand?
Yeah, he's watching.
He would disagree. Kickers got to stay.
I was going to petition, but it was a league a completely different platform change. I was going to petition to get rid of kickers and or defense to add 2 flex spots. The more flexes you add, the more positions you add that are skill positions, the more actual skill it takes during the draft. But I didn't want to push too far. So
65-yard field goals in your backyard, is that not a skill position?
Yeah, that's no problem at all. Got that.
All right.
With all the missed field goals, come on now.
I can kick like 35
moving
yards
on.
maybe.
Just because you like handcuffing kickers, we don't want to hear about it, bro.
Yeah, come on now.
Uh,
That's my forte.
But what we're gonna do, we're gonna get in the hot plays of the week. We're also gonna do our walk of shame segment. But before we do that, I want to take a minute to tell you about playing DFF player props. So the benefit of playing player props, for those of you who don't know, Paul, this would probably be something that you should get into as far as DFS.
I will let you know right now, when you told me this was a DFS podcast, I Googled what the fuck DFS was.
I know you did, because that's why we don't do the podcast on a Tuesday and talk about the waiver wire additions for the week. But there's no waiver wire in DFF, by the way, or DFS, same thing. So, anyways, the benefit of playing the player props for someone who's just to get new into DFS, Paul, this is for you, is you're only selecting 10 players and whether they'll go over or under on a bunch of stats. So those stats can be yards, they can be receptions, they could be touchdowns. The best thing is they're top tier athletes. So you're not doing countless hours of research trying to find, the dark horse for the week. And you score points on those right predictions. So it's super fun and super easy, and you can win cash prizes in doing so. The best part is by signing up with our promo code, if you're on Monkey Knife Fight, they will match your deposit up to $50. So use promo code FLING when signing up with that deposit bonus. You can find them in the App Store or at fantasyfootballfling.com. So as far as the hot plays of week 3, some of the guys for me were I was pretty heavy on James Conner. I just felt like he looked really good the following week against Denver, so I played him. He came in at 27 points. I was all about that Murray to Hopkins connection. It's been very well so far this year. 26 points. Allen Robinson, I just felt like he was going to have a game because, they were going against the Falcons. You start wide receivers against the Falcons. Even if it's
D-Hop saved me from the sack.
Even if it's key.
So gotta send respect out to D-Hop.
Well, good. I'm glad you feel that way.
Gatlin was great at stinging. He was terrible at stinging, but I might have done worse. So thank you, DeAndre, for saving me that embarrassment.
Absolutely. Send a fan letter out to him or something.
I will.
Allen Robinson, I knew he was going to do well this week, going against, again, the Falcons secondary. What I didn't expect is that he would kill it after Trubisky got benched and Foles came in. So he did really well, and then everyone knew the Dallas stack was going to be good, and that double stack. I know the guy who won $1.2 million on DraftKings. He actually double stacked, and he did have Gallup in there. And Jeff Wilson, he's a guy. I think he was like 3,700, 4,000, whatever, 21 points, very well. The value is just off the charts.
Yeah.
And then again, Bucks deep, 18 points, can't go wrong with that. Eric, Paul, you just found out what DFS was like an hour ago, so we won't ask you the guys that you played this week.
I have a lot of expert opinions on this topic. Whenever you guys are ready to hear, a 3-0 undefeated champion has these opinions.
We'll replay it to the end of the season when you lose. You go, 13 games. You go 5 and. It's gonna be a bad game for you, man. 5-8.
Man, that's all right, man.
Anyway, so for me,
I'll let my team do the talking this year. All right.
The Robinson brothers played well for me. They're not obviously brothers. Allen Robinson, James Robinson. I played him, but the guy's been incredible, especially for an undrafted free agent. He's been awesome. Mike Davis, I played in a lot of places. He scored. Well over like 23 points in DraftKings. I played him everywhere.
He'll be scoring on you this weekend.
the way that the Panthers have built the offense, it relied around McCaffrey, and so when Mike Davis took over, it kind of relied around him to an extent.
All right.
So I figured Davis would.
To your team this weekend.
Davis would be pretty studly. Tyler Boyd actually played quite a bit as well. He had his stat line was I think he had 10 receptions for 125 yards, which I mean that's pretty good. That's 23 points or so. So those are some of my pretty good ones. I also played Gallup in a couple of them because the over under on that game was incredible, and I figured he was the cheapest of them, so I went with Gallup a few as well. With that though, since I rounded that out, we can finish up the walk. I'll start with the walk of shame as well. So
Shame.
This will be the walk of shame with not just DFS but with our league of record as well. So I'll mix the two in. So a couple, Deontay Johnson, I played him everywhere, and you can't account for a concussion, but getting less than a point that killed me, or I guess 1.9 points,
right.
or no, actually it's less than a point because it was a run. It just killed me. I played him everywhere. Josh Kelly, I figured everyone had run all over the Panthers. He was going to kill everyone. No, he ran a 16-yard run and then fumbled. I think he got punished after that. That was a walk of shame for me. DJ Moore and McLaurin, bad. And the biggest walk of shame in the whole entire thing I could talk about is in the league record that we're in. I am 0-3, but I looked at each game that I played. I lost it because of my bench. If I played the right players, I'd be 3-0. If you look at max points for, I'm second overall. Like that's my walk of shame is that I'm 0-3 and I should be 3-0. So, smack. So that's to myself. So, what about you? What about you, Brandon? What's your biggest walk of shame?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I was almost going to be 0-3 with you, and Lamar Jackson did not have a good game. So I escaped that walk of shame. The walk of shame I will do is I in the GPP, one of the things about the GPP is you have to take some chances. So I did a Trubisky Robinson stack. Trubisky got benched at halftime. So 12 points, not going to cut it, actually. So that was pretty bad for me. Deonson, I'm with you right there. Again, you can't plan injuries. 0.9 points. I'm not sure if that is worse or my quarterback getting benched. But that's how that goes. And then I will say I was the same with you on Josh Kelly, and I actually won some money in the tournaments that I was in. But you're not trying to win $40-$50. You're trying to win life-changing money when you play his tournaments. I did play Drew Sample also in some of those lineups. Saw he was a sleeper. Got me 1 point. And then with the Josh Kelly and Austin Eckler, we knew the matchup was good. It just came down to guessing which guy's going to go off. I guess wrong. I chose Kelly, and Eckler was the guy to play this week. So, yeah, those were the walk of shames for me.
I think the process was right on Kelly, though. He fumbled after a 16-yard run, and from that point, he was kind of punished. So,
right. And that's the thing, like we talked about in the chat, I kind of broke down the guy who won the $1.2 million. So his process, he looked at the Vegas lines, which we're going to talk about next, and he went with the highest line. So, Seattle, he did Russell Wilson, then he did a double stack with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. He brought it back, had like Gallup, and then he got value at running backs, went cheap at tight end and defense, and he won $1.2 million. So, I mean, clearly skill involved, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's just guessing which of these guys are going to go off and, hitting on a couple of those guys, some of those value guys. But speaking of the week 4 hot plays, let's talk about week 4. We'll start with what Vegas thinks the high scoring games will be on the main slate. Number 1, we have Seattle at Miami, 54.5. Fitzgerald looked real good last week. Fitz magic. But damn, Russell Wilson's coming into town.
What do you
They're gonna
think?
put it
You
on
think
him.
it's going to be Fitzmagic, or you think it's going to be the usual Fitzmagic? We got like 3 games of sizzling Fitzmagic, and then we got Fitz interception. We've seen it before. We've seen Fitzmagic. Oh
We
my
have.
God, let's jerk off all over this guy's stats, and then all of a sudden it's back to the bench. What do you
No,
think?
you're right about that. You're right about that. Going against Seattle, I do not believe that he can go throw for throw with Russell Wilson. Call
No.
me crazy, but yeah. So I think it's gonna come back
Beard
down to
looks
life
great.
this week.
Oh, he
Yeah,
definitely can't, but
Beard
it's going
looks
to
great,
be
but
Seattle's giving up points to everybody. I think it's going to be pretty high scoring. He won't throw for him, no
Sure.
question about that. But Seattle's giving up points. Their secondary is not
Mhm.
very good. Yeah, so I think it's going to be
True. Yeah. Yeah. And I will be heading back to Sportsbook to. I haven't done my picks for the matchups yet, but be heading back and do that. There's a lot of games I want to bet on this slate. Next we have Kansas City versus New England. It's not Mahomes versus Brady anymore. It's Mahomes versus Cam. Mahomes looked sensational the other night. New England, they have been,
That defense.
real, but I think
Hey,
that's about
as
to
far as
change
regular
this week
season, I got
against
Cam
Kansas
and
City.
I got the Patriots defense in this week.
Yeah.
You think that's going to take me?
Anyway, that one.
I don't know. We'll see. Belichick's always scheming, man. He's got 6 cameras out there. He's got a Pat Mahomes sex tape. He's recording all sorts of shit.
Yeah. So there's that sex tape apparently. Kansas City
We'll
versus New England. That's a 54.5. The highest scoring one on the slate is actually Dallas and Cleveland at 55.5. Dallas has been hot, man, with that offense. So we shall see. We got New Orleans and Detroit at 54 and Houston.
Detroit defense.
Could be. And
we can get Brees slinging, and then Detroit's got to just keep up.
Yeah, buddy. How's that whiskey taste?
It's delicious. Every drop, drip, 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 down it goes, down into my belly. Am I just supposed to let you talk the whole time?
I wish one thing that I know everyone wishes would happen is the it's not a main card, but the Atlanta Green Bay is like a almost 56.5 point over under. It's not on the main slate, but good God, would that be awesome if it were?
Yeah.
It's the Monday night game.
Yeah.
Man, if Julio plays, if Adams plays, you might want to move that up to like 63. But wow, we're somewhere on the main slate.
Yeah, take the over on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get it started out. Quarterbacks. For me, let Russell cook. I'm gonna continue to roll with this guy. I mean, just at this point, how can you not? Every week he's just making ridiculous throws. Like nobody has like more precision on their down the yard throws, down the field throws than Russell Wilson. Again, he schooled Lamar Jackson the other night. For everything that Lamar Jackson is in fantasy football, I'm just not like a super huge fan long term with this guy. And the reason being is like whenever the competition is just top tier, like in the playoffs or specifically like Mahomes, he seems to buckle so far. It's one thing doing it against Cleveland. It's another thing in prime time against the Chiefs. You can't go toe-to-toe with Mahomes, especially when we were talking about his price on DraftKings, $8,100. Russell Wilson, $7,800. Mahomes is $7,400. I'm probably not rolling with Lamar this week. But I do think he could have a bounce-back game, but the price for me is just too high. And then Dak Prescott, again, he's been hot. As far as fantasy football goes, 7,200. So far, I'm pretty sold on him to have another good week. That is supposed to be the highest scoring game on the slate at 55.5. Do have some interest in Breeze and Watson as well, and then Kyler Murray at 7,000. Again, he's been in the top 5 every week, and he seems to be the cheapest out of the top guys. By you, Eric.
That's good. Those are so the beautiful thing about what we talk about is we can agree and disagree. So the Lamar Jackson thing, I actually have him as my number one. He's 8,100. That's expensive as hell. I get you, but they were embarrassed.
This week you have him as number one?
Yep, they were embarrassed on national TV in front of everybody. And now they're playing the Redskins, and the Redskins are not very good. I feel like they're gonna.
I believe it's called the Washington football team.
Oh,
yeah.
I am sorry about that. My apologies. It's out of habit. The Washington football team. I'm sorry about that. No, I apologize to everybody out there. That was my mistake.
Show.
My mistake. So they're playing the Washington football team, and apologize about that. But they, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens were embarrassed. They were embarrassed on national TV. I think they're going to come back and just crush them. I think they're
angry.
Was it 13-point favorites? I can't remember. I think they're 13-point favorites. They're going to come back and just crush the Washington football team. And I feel like he puts up 35, 40 points. I'm looking at him like that.
Well, it's not really disagreeing with what I said.
That team is looking worse than their current name is.
No, not disagreeing. But you said
division is just looking sad.
It's not a disagreement. But you said it's a little too much. But I think he's going to cover that. Plus some plus. So not disagreeing, but I'm absolutely going to play him.
Yeah. My thing is his current price the past few weeks, he really hasn't quite lived up to it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you went with him last week, if you're playing the night game, of course, you definitely lost.
Ouch. Yeah. That was rough.
Yeah.
This week, though, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, vendetta. I think the whole team does, and I think they're going to crush him. A couple others to add. Breeze.
For sure.
He's only 5,800. It's super cheap, and he's not Michael Thomas, but he finds a way to get it done. He always does. And then Derek Carr, 5,300. Mm-hmm. The Bills, they're a pretty good defense, but to cover 5,300 is pretty good. I mean, not you don't want to play Carr in GPP, but in cash games, I think he's a pretty cheap, safe option. Moving on I'll move onto the running backs. I'll go from there. James Robinson, he's continually is underrated. I think he's underpriced. He's 6,500. Mm-hmm. Go with him. Mike Davis again is super cheap, 5,700. And then you look at the top of the list, Alvin Kamara. It's kind of like McCaffrey over the last 2 years. I don't care what the price is, McCaffrey. The way he puts up numbers, I'm going to pay for. So I'm going to pay for Kamara.
Right.
And then Jonathan Taylor is the last one I have on the list that I really like for running backs. He's 6,600. The guy's a stud. He's going to have a breakout game, and the Bears really don't scare. They run. They've been getting up 5-6 yards a carry or something like that. That I think Jonathan Taylor, this is his breakout game.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, don't have too many issues with that. One guy I do like this week, if Chris Carson sits, we got Carlos Hyde at only $5,300. Again, he's nothing special. He's not a crazy talent, but when you got, Seattle with the type of offense that they do, all he has to do is fall in the end zone, once, maybe twice. And, it's $5,300. So it's not really that difficult to earn that value. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, apparently they can't pronounce his name on Monday Night Football, but the dude's kind of a beast. So, yeah, he's kind of a beast. 6,400. Again, Kansas City versus New England. That's going to be one of the more high-scoring games on the slate. Ezekiel Elliott, he is pricey, but again, he produces. He's definitely not going to have a 1 or 2 point game. It's just, knock on wood, it's just not really how he's built. And Alvin Kamara, I mean, Jesus, that pass that he took to the house was just amazing. And, just setting up his blocks, just breaking tackles, making guys miss. I mean, he's been crazy good. I do feel like Kenyon Drake is due. You kind of talked about Jonathan Taylor. I feel like Kenyon Drake is one of those guys. He's due for a big game. In that offense, he's in line. David Johnson, another guy. I feel like he can do well against Minnesota. Their defense has been straight up trash so far, so he could really provide some good value for it. Paul, I mean, I would ask you,
Well,
but
let me go over
should
my
I ask you?
top picks. I don't have any. I really don't.
Okay, I didn't think so. That's all right. Well,
I'll just chime in on your guys'
we'll keep
picks. Is
going.
that good? We good? And what do I know? I mean, I know that
Sure, yeah, yeah,
have to go 4-0.
right.
That can happen.
Well, thanks to my draft strategy that you followed, which is good, and
Good.
and it'll get you a good start in
It'll get me
season
into the
one.
championship. Hey,
It'll get you a
hey,
good start. But everyone knows that your draft is only like a third or a fourth of your overall success. So we'll see how
no,
far that'll get you.
I win this. Joey gets butt naked and eats crayons. That was stated.
He did say that more than
So
once.
there won't be just one Sacco punishment. There will be 2 Sacco punishments this year. The worst team and Joey's punishment. I mean, nobody wants to see that. We'll probably have to blur it out, keep this show, family oriented.
Yeah.
But watching a Marine eat crayons is just, it's going to be nice.
We won't be getting
week 13.
We won't be getting a Spotify deal anytime soon with comments like that. But Eric, wide receivers.
As always, I'm the one who loves receivers. If you look at my rosters, you'll see. I'm looking at Diggs and DK Metcalf are both 6,800. I like them both a lot. Lockett 7,000.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at any of the Lockett and or Metcalf any week, any team. One of them is probably going to go off. It's hard to go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I really like Keenan Allen as long as Justin Herbert's in play. He's pretty cheap at 6,500. And a couple cheaper ones that I threw in there who I think could have pretty big games, like Odell Beckham's 5,800. Yeah, he's had a rough year, but the guy's talented as hell, and they're playing the Seahawks. They're probably going to be trailing. You can't always predict game flow, but that's probably what's going to happen. Odell Beckham's 5,800. And DJ Moore, kind of forgotten about, 5,600. Takes one big play from that guy, and
Yeah.
he's there. I mean, at this price for 5,600 for DJ Moore is insane. Tyreek Hill is another mention, but those guys are you can mention so many different receivers, but those are the ones that I put at the top of the list there.
Absolutely. Yeah, and as I said before, this is Wednesday. We're kind of wide netting it. Normally, we start diving into this on Wednesday, and then you look at the injury reports for the week, and this week we might have guys out with COVID. Well, the game postponed. What would have been the Steelers and Titans game, on a Sunday, we got to postpone to Monday, so it's not going to be on the main anymore, maybe even Tuesday. So we do wide net it, and then we look at the injuries and whatnot throughout the week, and dive deeper into the matchups. Again, is Devontae Adams going to play? Obviously, if he is, you're all in on him. Alan Lazard. Those guys
are off the main slate though, because they're on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that's right. Devontae Lazard. So, yeah, unless you're playing, like a prop Monday, more or less, they will not be on the slate. Double stack of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf last week. Good enough for $1.2 million. I'm probably not gonna continue to roll with those guys until you get burned. Of course, Tyreek Hill looks really good. He's always a huge threat with his speed and with Mahomes, of course. And then sometimes it's just like who's gonna have the big game when you're looking at Mahomes. Is it gonna be Mecole Hardman? Is it gonna be Sammy Watkins? You gotta like both of those guys. If Michael Thomas is out again this week, you potentially look at Emmanuel Sanders, Tre'Quan Smith, Randall Cobb. He looked pretty decent last week. I would not be opposed to rolling with him again, but probably more so leaning towards Will Fuller. DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, you got to ride that hot hand until he can't. Him and Kyler Murray definitely have some good chemistry, so I'm on to him again this week. And the same thing with the Cowboys we talked about. That is the highest one on the slate. You got Gallup, you got Cooper. I apparently both Cooper and Lamb are a little banged up, so I would probably roll with Gallup again this week at 6,200. I do really like Allen Robinson. He might be kind of chalked this week, though, in DFS with Foles. Everyone's going to be on him. Definitely rolling with him in cash, but I don't know. GPP, it's tough to say. And then Godwin's going to be out again. So I'm definitely going to be rolling with Evans this week.
Yeah, it's a good call on Evans. I like Evans a lot. I like those a lot. We'll move on to tight end. I'll make this quick. I have 3 guys that I'm going to be playing. Logan Thomas, 3,500. Ali Cox, Cox, 3,900, and Jordan Akins, 3,300. I think Jordan Akins can be. He's in like the top 10 for routes run for tight ends. He's at the top of like every stat except for targets and everything, but he's there. Like Jordan Akins can be a huge sleeper. So those 3 guys I'm rolling with, they're all cheap tight ends. I usually don't spend up a lot on tight end. That's what I'm going with. What about you? Let's go with tight end and defense.
Yeah. So on tight ends, I feel like Hawkinson. It's got to be this week, right? Mo Cox, I'm with you again on him. And then Kelsey didn't get into the end zone last week. It's pretty rare for him. I feel like he's a good bounce back guy to get in the end zone. This week, maybe spend up a little more for him. Same thing with Andrews. I do like Andrews with Lamar Jackson this week. I feel like he's good for a bounce back game. Defense, who you got?
The defense, I'm not – I usually never spend up for defense. That's not my style, but this week I'm choosing – I guess it would be the chalk. Yeah. I usually go cheap, but this week I'm going Ravens against the Washington football team. I think that's going to be a slaughter.
Yeah.
Not good. And then I'm going the Rams against the –
It just sounds stupid. Just get it. Pay the guy who trademarked like 15 names. Give him some money. You own a football team. Give the guy some money. Change your team name and sound stupid. You're going to keep losing with that dumb name.
Ravens and Rams. The Rams against the Giants and Daniel Jones. Everything. The Giants have looked horrible.
Yeah.
I don't usually take the high-end defenses, but this week I am.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Like I said, start everyone against the Jets, but that week this is the Broncos. So even if it was on Sunday, I wouldn't be doing it. Obviously, the game's on Thursday, so it's not happening. But, yeah, I'm with you. I'm all in on the Rams. It's either the Rams or the cheapest defense possible, depending on how you set your lineup. But so that's going to do it for our hot plays of the week. We're going to end with this regardless of whether you're doing that one prop lineup or, Thrive Fantasy, Monkey Knife Fight, or you're doing the GPP $1 million contest. You need some sort of strategy, and especially if you're trying to win big bucks, you're probably not going to do it by yourself. So that's why we have partnered with DFS Army. You can get a 20% off membership of their DFS Army VIP membership by using code FANTASYFLING. DFS Army, turning average Joes into fantasy pros. Eric, Bullish Paul, Taco, whatever you want to call him.
Taco in the league.
Thanks.
13-0.
Thanks for.
It's coming up the season. Get ready.
You're gonna lose this week,
Taco
man. You're gonna go one, and you're gonna lose this week. It's gonna happen.
Hearing a lot of this. All right. See you on Tuesday, buddy.
Gentlemen, you have
Always
a good.
a pleasure. We'll see you guys next week.
Love you guys. Have a great week. Good luck to you all, except for Eric.
I don't need it. You're out.